What changes after 60 isn't just what the mirror shows, it's how the body begins to speak in subtler ways. It speaks in the slow repair of a bruise that once faded in days, in the way digestion hesitates, even with foods that once brought comfort, in the longer mornings, the stiffer joints, the surprise of needing more rest from what once was routine. It's not failure, it's not weakness, it's the quiet shift of a magnificent machine learning to function under new rhythms. And it needs a new kind of care, gentler, more intentional, and deeply nourishing. The truth is, your body's maintenance crew never stops working. It simply works differently now. Muscles heal, but more slowly. Inflammation stays, like an uninvited guest, longer than it used to. Digestion becomes more sensitive, choosing its allies carefully. And the immune system, once swift and silent, now moves with more caution. But there is a quiet beauty in this too, a kind of wisdom in the way your body reveals what it needs. This is where the idea of power foods begins. Not miracle foods, not promises dressed in headlines, but real, rooted foods, ones that science has studied and that tradition has quietly handed down. Apples, coconuts, pomegranates, avocados, carrots, turmeric, familiar names perhaps, but with effects many never fully understood. These aren't magical answers, but practical allies. Allies that, when invited into your daily life, help reduce the wear on the systems that matter most: digestion, circulation, memory, hormones, and the quiet pulse of your immune resilience. There's a saying passed down over generations: an apple a day keeps the doctor away. We've all heard it, often with a smile. But what if there's more to that playful wisdom? What if apples truly do ease digestion in a way that keeps discomfort at bay? What if coconuts help keep the neurologist away, not by reversing age, but by fueling the brain with the right kind of gentle energy? What if pomegranates help keep the cardiologist away, not through magic, but through compounds that keep your blood vessels supple and flowing? What if avocados support hormone balance, carrots help maintain the function of aging eyes, and turmeric quietly shields your cells, each one offering something real, something needed, something missing? This is not about exaggeration. It's about rediscovering food as quiet medicine. And when I say medicine, I don't mean a treatment for illness. I mean the daily nutrients that keep the body from reaching that point to begin with. As Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara once explained, a long-lived machine doesn't run forever on chance. It runs on the quality of what enters it. You would never expect a garden to thrive without the right soil. Why expect your body to thrive without the right support? Dr. Andrew Weil calls it anti-inflammatory nourishment. Not a diet, not a restriction, but a way of feeding the body so it stops fighting itself, so joints stop swelling, so energy returns without the sugar crash, so digestion calms and immunity sharpens. It's about food that soothes rather than aggravates, food that brings quiet where there has been irritation. Over the next few minutes, we'll look closely at 6 foods and 8 ways they support you. We'll explore how apples, coconuts, pomegranates, avocados, carrots, and turmeric each defend a part of you that deserves protection. We'll also uncover the common mistakes: peeling away what's most useful, skipping what feels unfamiliar, consuming things without knowing how they work. Most importantly, you'll see how to use these foods safely, gently, and realistically. No strict diets, no overwhelming changes, just small steps that make a difference. Because you deserve to feel better. You deserve the kind of nourishment that respects your age, not as a weakness, but as a stage of power, reflection, and possibility. And these foods? They are not shortcuts. They are companions, quiet defenders, gentle, consistent, wise. And now, we begin. One fruit, one bite, one new way of caring for the body that has carried you through it all. There's something comforting about the crunch of an apple. It recalls childhood lunches, autumn days, the sound of teeth biting into something crisp and real. But after 60, many stop reaching for apples. Not because they don't enjoy them, but because they quietly shift toward foods that are easier to chew, easier to digest, more familiar to the body that has begun to ask for gentler textures. Over time, this innocent change, the leaning towards soft breads, soups, or overly processed meals, can quietly slow the rhythm of digestion. And in that slowness, something shifts. Meals begin to feel heavier, energy fades more quickly. A quiet discomfort settles in after eating, one that's hard to name but deeply felt. It's not about blame, it's about awareness. When fiber is reduced, the gut slows its dance. The natural contractions that help move waste along the intestinal path begin to lose their tempo, and what was once a smooth process becomes sluggish. That's when bloating arises, a sense of fullness that lingers too long, a silent tension in the belly that wasn't there before. Many endure this without complaint, perhaps thinking it's just the way things are now, but often it's not aging that causes this discomfort. It's the absence of what once kept the gut alive with movement and rhythm. Apples, especially with their skin intact, carry a powerful ally known as pectin. It's a kind of fiber, but not the rough kind that irritates. It's gentle, gel-like. It moves through the gut like a soft broom, gathering what needs to leave and feeding the microbes that line the walls of your digestive tract. These microbes aren't just passive inhabitants. They influence immunity, mood, inflammation, and they thrive on the kind of nourishment pectin provides. A 2017 Oxford-affiliated review found that older adults who consumed more pectin-rich foods showed improved signs of gut function, not because they changed everything, but because they added something essential back in. Still, one of the most common habits is to peel the apple. It's understandable. The skin feels tougher, especially for those whose teeth or dentures make chewing more difficult. But here's the gentle truth. Most of the compounds that support blood vessels, those flavonoids that help maintain flexibility and reduce oxidative stress, live in that very peel. So how do we honor both needs? How do we keep what is valuable without creating discomfort? One way is simple. Slice the apple thinly, keep the peel and chew slowly. Or, for those with greater sensitivity, lightly steam the apple, softening the flesh while leaving the fiber intact. What seems like a small act becomes a significant choice in the body's favor. There's also a sacred timing to consider. The first meal of the day, or the quiet pause of the afternoon, are often the most gentle times for digestion. These are moments when the body is open, less guarded, and more receptive. That's when a fresh apple can do its quiet work. And if there's concern about chewing or taste, pair it with plain yogurt. This combination not only eases digestion, but supports a richer diversity of gut bacteria. What should be avoided is the seductive shortcut, bottled apple juices that taste sweet, but carry none of the fiber, none of the true essence. Those products pretend to be nourishment, but they offer only sugar dressed in disguise. Imagine the gut not as a mechanical part of you, but as a garden, a living, breathing landscape. Pectin is not a pill. It is a tender gardener, pulling weeds, feeding roots, preparing the soil for what comes next. When that garden is cared for, digestion flows, energy returns. There's less discomfort, less hesitation around meals. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to eat perfectly. You just need to add what your body quietly craves. An apple a day. It sounds like folklore, but when understood deeply, it becomes something else. A ritual, a return. A simple act of listening to the quiet needs of a wise and working body. There's a kind of fear that settles in quietly with age. It doesn't always announce itself with panic, but with small, sobering moments. Forgetting the name of someone familiar, losing track of what you were about to say, standing in a room and wondering why you walked in. These moments don't always mean something is wrong, but they carry a weight. I question, is my mind still as sharp as it used to be? In response to this fear, many choose to cut things out, especially fats. After decades of being told that fat is dangerous, that it clogs, that it slows, that it leads to decline, it's understandable that older adults often avoid it completely. Butter is replaced with dry toast, oil is measured cautiously, and anything with the word coconut feels indulgent, even suspicious. But something gets lost in this avoidance. Because not all fats are enemies. Some are deeply needed, especially by the brain. The brain is not powered by carbohydrates alone. It thrives on a certain kind of fat, medium-chain triglycerides or MCTs. These fats found in coconuts are metabolized differently from most. They don't get stored away, they're turned into ketones, which serve as a clean, steady energy source for the brain. Not a spike, not a crash, but a slow-burning fuel that helps the mind stay clear. Studies from respected institutions, including Mayo Clinic labs, have explored this pathway. While no single food prevents aging, patterns matter, and patterns of gentle, consistent support can shape how we age from the inside out. What's fascinating is how traditional cultures understood this long before research confirmed it. On the islands of the Pacific, elders prepared foods with coconut, not in excess, but in harmony. Coconut milk cooked into roots and vegetables. Grated coconut mixed with greens or fish, always with balance, always as part of a whole. This matters because fats like coconut serve best when they accompany fiber, minerals, and the rhythm of a real meal. Not when they're consumed in isolation, not when they're sold as powders or flavored bars. There's also a simple way to invite coconut back into the life of someone over 60. It doesn't begin with spoonfuls, it begins with a pinch. A half teaspoon of unsweetened shredded coconut in morning oatmeal, a splash of pure coconut milk stirred into a warm soup or blended with cooked lentils. These are not drastic changes, they are soft reintroductions, a way to bring back the nourishing fats without fear, without disruption. For those with delicate digestion, gradual steps matter. More is not better, gentle is often wiser, and always it's essential to see beyond the label. Coconut yogurt laced with added sugar. Processed snacks that boast coconut flavor. These are distractions. What heals is the unadorned version, the kind that still smells of the tree it came from, that carries the quiet strength of something unrefined. The image is simple but strong, a lantern lighting the evening path. Coconut offers the brain that kind of light, not a flame that burns fast and wild, but a steady glow that endures. And in the evening years of life, that kind of light matters more than ever. You don't need to reverse time. You don't need to fear what's natural, but you can offer the brain what it quietly calls for, nourishment that steadies thought, softens confusion, and reminds you that clarity is not gone. It's just waiting for the right kind of fuel. Cold feet that never seem to warm, legs that tire halfway up the stairs, a quiet swelling at the ankles by late afternoon. These aren't just signs of age. They're signals of slowed circulation, of energy moving less freely through the body, and they often go ignored, folded into the background of daily life. But small changes, done with care, can begin to ease these signs. Pomegranate, for instance, offers more than sweetness. Its polyphenols help keep blood vessels supple, supporting smoother blood flow. Just a spoonful of seeds or a small glass of unsweetened juice can invite more ease into the body. Avocados, often misunderstood, provide fats that help stabilize hormones and energy, especially important when appetite and mood shift unpredictably. Half of one, paired with grains or greens, nourishes without overwhelm. And carrots. They do support vision, but not through myth. Their beta-carotene feeds the retina, especially when lightly cooked and combined with a drop of healthy fat. One warm bowl of carrot soup can feel like a soft light returning to tired eyes. None of these foods are flashy, but together they support movement, clarity, and comfort in the smallest, most human ways. Not by undoing age, but by honoring what your body still longs to do. There's a kind of fatigue that isn't solved by sleep, a tiredness that settles in the joints, the skin, even the breath. It doesn't always hurt, but it lingers, and behind it often is silent inflammation, low-level, persistent, unnoticed, until it becomes something more. This is where turmeric begins to matter, not as a trend or a cure, but as an old root offering quiet help to a tired body. What gives turmeric its strength is curcumin, a compound that speaks to the cells not with force, but with calm. It soothes the tiny messengers that spark inflammation. It reminds the body to respond, not overreact. But curcumin doesn't work well on its own. It passes through the body too quickly, unless accompanied by fat, by a pinch of pepper. These are the details that matter, the forgotten parts of the tradition. The answer isn't in capsules or powders taken by the spoonful. It's in a small amount, given daily, with warmth and intention. A dash stirred into lentils, a golden hue in scrambled eggs, a touch in warm milk before bed. Not dramatic, just steady. Using turmeric this way is like polishing something you treasure, slowly, gently, not to make it new again, but to let its beauty last. The body after 60 becomes quieter in its signals, but more honest. It no longer hides its discomforts behind speed or distraction. It slows, not as a failure, but as a message. And in that slowing, it asks for something different. Not pills, not promises, just consistency. Just nourishment that understands what age feels like from the inside. When people speak of power foods, they often think of trends, exotic ingredients, loud packaging, urgent claims. But real power is quiet. It builds with repetition. It lives in the choices made when no one's watching. And these 8 foods, simple, familiar, often forgotten, offer that kind of strength. They don't change everything overnight, but they support what matters most: digestion, memory, circulation, energy, clarity. Not by forcing change, but by allowing balance. An apple may seem ordinary, but to a gut that struggles with rhythm, its pectin is like a hand offering steadiness. Coconuts, in their modest portions, give the brain a kind of energy that doesn't fade by mid-afternoon. Pomegranate offers the vessels of the body more elasticity, more flow, less pressure. Avocados bring stability to hormones and blood sugar when both can become unpredictable with age. Carrots, when gently cooked, continue to support the eyes long after glasses arrive. And turmeric, if used with patience and understanding, quiets inflammation at the level of the cells, not by erasing pain, but by softening what sparks it. But even more than what each food offers on its own is what they do together. They become a kind of kitchen pharmacy, not filled with supplements but with living color: red seeds, golden roots, green slices, orange soups. They ask for nothing extravagant, no new diets, no shopping lists that overwhelm, just small additions to what already exists. A spoonful of pomegranate on breakfast, a dash of turmeric in a warm evening meal, a sliced apple, skin intact, served beside yogurt. These are the actions that shape long years, not the ones done once with effort, but the ones done often with ease. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara once compared the human body to a well-built machine, not in the mechanical sense, but in the way it responds to care, to fuel, to maintenance. And like a beloved old home, the body responds to attention: a little oil on the hinges, a repair to the creaky stair, a window opened to let light in. These foods are those gestures: quiet maintenance, loving attention, and in return, the body often begins to speak differently, not through pain but through comfort, through steadier mornings, through walks that don't feel like work, through moments of clarity that linger. Dan Buettner, in his studies of the world's longest-lived communities, never found magic. He found rituals. He found people eating the same few nourishing foods over and over, not because they had to, but because it was part of life, part of family, part of remembering that the simplest things done with care are enough. So begin, not with change, but with attention. These foods aren't demanding. They wait, they listen, and when welcomed regularly, they defend, they support, they stay. Not to return you to the past, but to help you live now, with more ease, more comfort, more peace in your body. That is not a small thing, that is a kind of grace.